Streaming from outside the mainstream, Beyond a Pale, the podcast, hosted by Paleface.
Today's guest is founder and CEO of Be Bright Events, a boutique event planning, management, and consulting company. Wendi Freeman, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It's great to have you here. So, Wendi, can you please share some of your background with my audience, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been in the event planning space as a professional for the past 15 years, but really been event planning ever since I was, planning birthday parties for myself and for my friends. I was in the corporate space for a while doing it in corporate, and then realized that, working in the corporate space is great and planning events is what I love, but I didn't have that sense of fulfillment. I am a big advocate of personal growth and constantly, striving to live up to your full potential. And I felt like I was missing that. So that's when I launched my own business to really help purpose-driven, mission-focused entrepreneurs plan and launch incredible events that are experiential and really inspire and enrich lives.
So is that when you became a seminar event junkie?
It was a little bit before I launched, my company, where I became the junkie. And it was by attending those events where I realized, wait a minute, I'm planning the wrong types of events, or I'm planning events for the wrong types of people. I need to plan the events that are changing my life. I want a piece of that.
Right. So tell me about experiential. What do you mean by that?
So, when you think about in-person events, and especially now virtual, when you go to an in-person event, it is an experience. You have the lights and the stage and the food and whatever decor and design and the networking and the engagement and all of that. And so for me, it's about curating an intentional experience that ties into the goals of the host. It's not just, it's going to be a great time. We're going to have a casino night or a dance party or a beautiful lavish dinner. It's really about how does that attendee feel when they leave, and how inspired are they to take everything that they have just consumed over, throughout the event and actually implement that into their lives. And now with virtual, there's a whole different approach of how you can accomplish that. That, in-person events, it was natural. It was an experience. You traveled, you were there, you were in a hotel. And so it's really been, I've seen a lot of people struggling as they've transitioned to virtual to recreate those experiences.
So let's talk more about the virtual then. So during the current pandemic, there's been a move to remote. So do you have any recommendations on how organizations and teams can engage more fully virtually?
Yes, absolutely. I actually just hosted my own virtual event yesterday called Epic Online Experiences that talked exactly about that. And I think what's really important for people to understand is that when you think about events, whether it's in person or virtual, 80% of it is the same. The 20% that makes the difference is the technology and the touch. So now you have to be really intentional with the decisions that you make so that people aren't sitting behind a computer screen for 2 days straight, 16 hours or whatever it may be, just watching speaker after speaker after speaker. Just because you can't shake hands, you can still create super, tight connections. I mean, I'm actually partnering with 2 women that I met at a virtual event to do some more things together. And those are things that, I don't know that at an in-person event, we would have had the opportunity to dive as deep as we did in the virtual space. So breakouts is the Zoom technology that allows for breakout rooms is definitely in my opinion, a must have.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I just want to add to that, most people have probably been a part of that, but it really comes down to the way that you facilitate. I've been in ones where you just get thrown into a room and it's like, all right, we'll discuss about this for the next 5 minutes. Whereas creating and curating that experience is you have to engineer good questions, life-giving questions that are easy for people to answer, but allow them to become a little bit more vulnerable, because that's when that connection is made.
I was going to say, I really think that those Zoom rooms are great, but I have been thrown into one before without facilitation. It can be awkward.
Definitely.
Yeah. So at trade shows, you often have something like a vendor village. So how do product and service providers still find a way to connect with attendees if those attendees are virtual?
That's a great question. And, there are so many different virtual event platforms that enable you to do that. There are some where you actually you're able to create an avatar, and the sponsors are able to set up and build a virtual booth where there's downloads and interactions, and you can walk up and literally chat with them, which provides them with a whole new level of engagement and metrics and analytical data. When you're at a trade show, you don't know who's grabbing all your collateral,
right?
Unless you're scanning badges and things like that. But it's really great because it allows them an opportunity to really connect. And something else that I have done for a couple of my clients is during the lunch breaks or things like that, you open up a bunch of different Zoom rooms. So if you want to go talk to company ABC, you just pop in that Zoom room, there's somebody there, and you're having real in-time conversations with them. And those are again, like a great way. Online, it's great to be able to walk up and virtually chat with someone, but if you can incorporate that live face-to-face conversation, it replicates that level as closely as you can, that level of engagement that you get at an in-person event.
That's so neat. So you're saying that downloads is the new swag?
I like to call them virtual swag bags.
Oh, that's cool. That's so neat. So Wendi, is there anything else that you would like to share before we close out today's show with my audience?
Sure. I think what's really important right now is that most people have a product to sell, a service to offer, or a message to communicate. And virtual events is an amazing way to get that out there, especially if you haven't hosted an event before. It's, you can do it fairly inexpensive. I mean, really, you could do it at no expense other than your time, but you have the opportunity to, one, really get clear on, who you're targeting, how you're targeting them, and start to really build a tribe and a community in a much larger scale than you otherwise would have. And so I would just, if it's something that you are considering, even if it is as simple as doing a Facebook Live for a week straight and promoting that on your social media, I just encourage you to take that step. The most growth comes when you are uncomfortable. So push yourself out of your comfort zone and think about your why.
That's awesome. So Wendi, can you tell people how they can get connected with you so that they can?
Yeah, absolutely. So bebrightevents.co.com, and that's BE, brightevents.co.com is the website. And then on all the social media channels, you can find me at Be Bright Events or Wendi Freeman. And it's Wendi with an I at the end, Wendi.
Yes, it is. So I urge everyone to go to Be Bright. And Wendi Freeman, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Godspeed.
Thank you so much.
If you're interested in being a guest on Beyond a Pale, the podcast, please visit beyondapale.blog/guest.